So this is definitely a bummer to have to report on. So recently it was revealed that EA laid off 350 of its own employees from marketing, publishing, and so on. And, you know, it's just gut-wrenching to hear about this. We've heard about layoffs, massive layoffs from other companies, including Activision Blizzard, which they laid off like 800 people. But you're probably wondering, you know, how is this going to influence Bioware or Anthem, if at all? So we're going to be talking about that as well. But welcome back to Open World Games. We're going to dive straight into the news right now. So, yeah, really sad news for sure. When you hear about these mass layoffs, it just really sucks. There's no way around it. Even in the past, we've heard that Visceral Games was shut down, major studios. I remember when United Front Games, the guys that made Sleeping Dogs, one of my favorite open world games, when they shut down, my heart just broke. So it's heartbreaking news, and my heart goes out to everyone affected by this for sure. But let's get into the official statement from, EA's Andrew Wilson. He's CEO of EA. This comes from Kotaku. Check out the link in the description below. It says EA lays off 350 people in marketing, publishing, and more. The article goes on to say this. In an email to employees obtained by Kotaku, EA boss Andrew Wilson said the goal would be to consolidate the marketing and publishing departments, improve customer support, and change some of its international strategies. A move that includes closing offices in Russia and Japan. Now, Andrew Wilson had the following to say. He says this: "We have a vision to be the world's greatest games company. If we're honest with ourselves, we're not there right now. We have work to do with our games, our player relationships, and our business." And I think all of us would agree on that, given also with how many of these games have launched. And also, just like this tactic of laying off people is not good. I'm going to talk about and speculate as to why this even happened. Now, the article goes on to say this: across the company, teams are already taking action to ensure we are creating higher quality games and live services, reaching more platforms with our content and subscriptions, improving our Frostbite tools, focusing on our network and cloud gaming priorities, and closing the gap between us and our player community. So I want to stop it right there before we move on. I want to speculate a little bit here. So a lot of people are wondering, why did this happen in the first place? Excuse me, a little bit under the weather here. But a lot of people are wondering, why did this happen in the first place? And the thing is, Anthem, it actually performed admirably. It didn't perform at EA's level. Like, it didn't go astronomical in terms of sales, which is a total bummer. People are wondering, well, is that to blame? And what about Bioware? Did this include any firings from Bioware? So no, it did not. It looks like it did not include anyone from Bioware getting fired. We've heard statements from Bioware in the past where they said we're all right, and I'm going to get into those in just a moment. But since Anthem didn't hit its sales goals, you have to ask yourself, well, maybe they didn't want to get rid of their essential personnel who are working on Anthem, and they had to find a way to make up the difference here by laying off a bunch of people in other departments. And yeah, that's a good argument, but it looks like from the article here from Kotaku, it looks like a lot of these people that were working in the marketing and publishing areas knew this was coming for a long time, for the past couple months to 6 months or something like that, that there were major signs that something was going to happen. And from how the gaming industry works in some ways is that there are short-term goals to move quick and get to those goals, and that means hiring a ton of people, whether or not you can support them in the long term or not. And that's what could actually be happening here. And it's not a good tactic for sure, because you burn a lot of bridges doing that. So we do know that there's upcoming technologies like Stadia, Google Stadia, which is going to require major investments from EA. That Apex Legends just released, and it's just such a bummer, because Apex Legends released, and what happened because of that and because of its success, EA's stock boomed. So it just doesn't make any sense that you would go and fire your staff, of course, after having your stocks boom. And there's enough disposable income, I think, where that's totally unnecessary, to fire these people. Maybe it would be better just to rearrange the staff and put them in different departments if that's a possibility. But yeah, it's a total bummer, again, that this has happened. But yeah, mentioning restructuring and stuff like that, seems like that seems to be the case here because of the success of Apex Legends. EA has seen that, this game can sell. It can sell big numbers, and they're wanting to invest in free-to-play, live service. Then they have to consider Google's Stadia going forward, and they're going to try to make up losses as well, I think, in other ways by making this move, which is just absolutely sucky, and yeah, it's a total bummer. But let's keep going and seeing what the article furthermore has to say. So, this was another statement from Andrew Wilson. It says, "Today we took some important steps as a company to address our challenges and prepare for the opportunities ahead. As we look across a changing world around us, it's clear that we must change within it. We're making deliberate moves to better deliver our commitments, refine our organization, and meet the needs of our players. As part of this, we have made changes to our marketing and publishing organization, our operating teams, and we are ramping down our current presence in Japan and Russia as we focus on different ways to serve our players in those markets. In addition to organizational changes, we are deeply focused on increasing quality in our games and services. Great games will continue to be at the core of everything we do, and we are thinking differently about how to amaze and inspire our players." And furthermore, it says, "This is a difficult day. The changes we're making today will impact about 350 roles in our 9,000-person company. These are important but very hard decisions, and we do not take them lightly. We are friends and colleagues at EA. We appreciate and value everyone's contributions, and we are doing everything we can to ensure we are looking after our people to help them through this period to find their next opportunity. This is our top priority." I really hope that they, honestly, that they can get them jobs in the future. It's so important that they transition them somewhere else, of course. And going forward, I think EA needs to be looking at the long term in terms of hiring people. Like when it really be careful about these mass it's not a mass firing. It's not a good look at all when a company fires this many people at once, no matter what, even if you have 9,000 employees. Now, Ubisoft, they had an article go out. Well, they didn't have the article go out. PC Gamer covered their story, and the headline was this: "Ubisoft reports strong profits, doesn't fire 800 people." And this was just off of the Activision debacle, the whole 800 people that were fired. And that was just like gut-wrenching. When you heard that, you're like, wow, 800 people, no matter what, that's a lot of people. And the PC Gamer article about this went on to say this: "Instead of laying off the people partly responsible for their growth, Guillaume suggested growing its workforce and making them happy was a priority." And this is Yves Guillaume, Ubisoft CEO. He says, "Ubisoft is building its organizational structure for the long term, leveraging the ownership of our IPs and studios. We are striving to provide a fulfilling working environment so that our talented people can realize their full potential to deliver players beneficial experiences that go beyond pure entertainment. Therefore, we are confident in our ability to continue to grow and increase our profitability over the coming years." So they have the attitude of trying to make their employees happy in the long term, because you don't want to burn this many bridges, going forward. And it's just an uneasy time in the gaming industry, which is really weird, because I'm going to say this right here. It says consumers in the United States spent $1.05 billion on gaming-related products in February, according to industry tracking firm the MBT Group. That's up 4% compared to the $1.1 billion in February 2018. So more recently, in the recent month, gaming has been on the rise, and it's interesting. Like sometimes you hear like a movie did really bad, or this movie's really horrible. And I don't know. Sometimes you like scratch your head wondering if that's really the truth of the matter. Now, of course, in certain circumstances, it's going to be true with mismanagement. I've seen so many developers where they hit it big, and then they're like, well, we hit it big once. Let's hit it big not once. Let's hit it big 5 times. And they expand their development studio so much, like a crazy amount, in such a short period of time. There's no way to sustain it without having huge capital from governments and loans and what have you, and it just becomes too much in such a short period of time. I've seen that happen time and time again. And, this short-term perspective, this narrow vision can really hurt companies in the long term for sure, and also give them a bad look and just cause them to cave in on themselves. So, yeah, I think that going forward, again, that EA needs to really address that. They have a very, very large of course, company, 9,000 people. But when it comes to Bioware and Anthem, it looks like they are, for the most part, uninfected. Now, we have some comments here from Bioware about the state of what's going on. Of course, you may have heard from Matt Pacelli, the MPT group who specializes in analyzing gaming sales. He says Anthem was the best-selling game of February 2019 and is now the second best-selling game of 2019. Anthem represents the second highest launch month sales ever recorded for a Bioware-developed game, trailing only the March 2012 release of Mass Effect 3. So that's pretty big news. That's significant, for sure. Definitely not going to meet the sales numbers that a lot of people want over at EA for sure. But Mass Effect, Bioware is definitely in, definitely continuing to develop Anthem for sure. They go on to say a lot of stuff about this. Now, Valentine says this, Mike, I'm mainly worried about what EA might do if the game doesn't meet their sales expectations. Sad face, since they so quickly dropped Andromeda for not meeting expectations. And Robert Go agrees, says, me too, especially since they projected 6 million over the first 6 weeks, and retail-wise, it sold half as many as Mass Effect Andromeda did, and that was reported to be 1.3 million, so at best they're just over 650,000. That's a lot of digital sales to make up over the next 5 weeks. We know that that's not true, that they sold more, somewhere along the lines of 3.6 million to 5 million in terms of digital. So that's what we do now. Now, Mike Gamble of Bioware responded saying, don't sweat this, guys, seriously. And then also, Casey Hudson of Bioware did give the statement, game development can be a harsh and emotional experience at times, but the support of so many amazing people in the developer and player communities is a powerful antidote. You inspire us to keep going, and we will. Now, furthermore, Michael Newsom says this, any chance you could assure fans of Anthem that it is in a safe position, will continue to grow and get support and follow the previously shown roadmap. And Casey Hudson reassured, definitely we have a big team working on lots of upcoming improvements, fixes, plus new content and features. Anthem will keep getting bigger and better. So overall, this news does really suck, but again, it doesn't seem like it affects, BioWare going forward. I know since you guys follow me for Anthem news, you'd probably wonder this for sure, especially if you saw the headline, wherever, Facebook, Twitter, social media, whatever. But letting you know, it seems like BioWare is pushing forward through a lot of their missteps and are desperately trying to fix Anthem. Had such a rough launch. Apex Legends was really the savior for EA in early 2019. Actually made their stock rise. So Respawn Entertainment nailed it with that one. But guys, thank you so much for watching. Still such a bummer to report on this. Let me know what you guys think of it. Stay tuned for more, news about Anthem and open world gaming goodness. And I will see you next time. Take care.